want to go over the concept of the previous exercise. If you remember, we had a simple add number, we had a loop, we had a value set outside of the loop. Then within the loop, we asked a question, we got some user input, and we changed the condition. This is quite a clever and tricky notion. So you set some initial value, then you enter your loop based on that initial value being true. So it carries on looping, does a whole bunch of processes, then it asks a question based on usually user input or some calculation. So in this example here, we're getting input, but you might have a calculation inside the loop. If that calculation or user input is of a certain type, we need to leave the loop. So what it does is it will take the initial value, which I'm miswriting, initial value, this value here, right? It'll take that and it will set it for false. So what that means is that when it loops back around to here, it exits this loop because this value is now false, so it leaps right out and comes to a section of the code underneath the while loop. So it's a very, very powerful mechanism. I just want to repeat it one more time for you to be clear. Prior to the loop, we set an initial value, but let's assume that that is true, just for sake of argument. We come into the loop, we ask what's that initial value, what the condition is, let's say it's true. So we'll do some processing here inside our loop. This might be receiving user input or doing some calculation or even a combination of both. Then directly underneath that, still inside the loop, we ask a question. And we ask a question about something to do with this processing here. And we say, has something changed? Or what's such and such a value? If it follows a certain logic, we would set the initial value, which was this value up here, to false, which then when it comes back round to the end of the loop, it's now false, that value is, so it exits the loop and continues with the program downwards. That's called a Sentinel loop structure, and it's a very powerful mechanism. And we have just coded it in a previous example.